Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Myrene Tesico, who helps aspiring international students to study in Canada. If you're ever wondering to study in Canada, how to do it, what are the tips and tricks, then you should subscribe to our channel, click the bell button so you'll be kept updated. For today's video, I have a question for you. Have you been planning to study in Canada? If yes, then stay tuned because I will be discussing one important thing that you should do before you apply to a school here in Canada. One important thing that you should do even before you submit your application is to choose the right intake. Now, aside from the months, the season, or the weather, are there any more differences with these intakes? Yes, that's why you should consider what intake you are going to apply before you even apply or send your documents to the school. I understand that most of you wanted to come to Canada as early as possible, therefore you just chose the intake that is the nearest available to the time that you have decided you will come to Canada. However, this may cause some issues in your programs, the seats, or worse, financial. Let's dive in. Let's start with the issues with the program. To make a decision on which is the best intake to come to Canada, here are some recommendations that we provide in which you should consider or you may consider. If you are still studying in your country, then you want to consider the academic calendar. It is recommended that you choose either the fall or the winter intake, and these intakes should match with your country's academic year. The next thing that you should consider is the program and the course availability. Compared to the summer intake, fall and winter intake often provide more options for programs and courses to choose from. This means that you have a wide variety of options to choose that matches your interests and career goals. If you are not sure of what program is right for you, we do have a consultation which is really affordable and you can check it on the description box below. Another thing that you should consider is the competition for admission. Due to a larger number of candidates, winter and fall intakes may be more difficult. Yet, these two intakes also have more scholarships and financial aids provided to the applicants and their students itself. Choosing an intake in Canada for these coming years is really difficult. Therefore, we have provided here the breakdown of the advantages and disadvantages of every intake. Let's start with the fall intake. The fall intake is the most popular intake for the colleges and universities here in Canada. This intake typically offers more programs and has the larger intake of students. However, the competition for admission for fall intake is really high, and the cost of living is usually higher during the fall season. The winter intake is the second most popular intake here in Canada that is provided by the colleges or the universities. The programs though is a little bit less than the fall intake, and the competition for admission is also lower, but the cost of living during this time is usually lower too. The summer intake is the smallest intake available to international students and also has limited number of programs offered to international students. However, you may want to consider this intake if you wanted to enjoy the outdoors with the warm weather and adjust into the weather here in Canada. Also, the competition for admission during summer intake is really lesser compared to winter and fall intake, and the prices of cost of living or the houses are usually cheaper too. Now, take note, these changes with the cost of living also varies per province and per the landlord. But this is the average changes of what we have seen here in Canada. Another issue that you may encounter if you will not choose the right intake is the cost of this mistake, and usually that's the deferral fees. I'll give you an example. There's a student who applied to school in May for September intake. So there's only limited months available. She applied on her own and didn't consult an education consultant like UniStudy who provide free services. Which is okay because doing DIY is good, but you really need a lot of information before you do this. She have received her LOA in July. However, she realized that she is not ready yet to apply for September 2023. Imagine it's already July, August, September. There's only 2 months left, or basically just a month left for her to apply for her study permit. And she realized it on that time. Looking into it, it's really hard to apply during that time because we don't know how long the immigration officer will take to review your profile. And again, the cause of mistake, since she realized that she can apply for September intake, or maybe she have applied but she didn't receive the decision on time because there's only limited time that she have left for her waiting period, then she needed to defer her intake. Instead of September, it needs to be moved to the next available, either January or May, depending on the program. But take note, not all schools do allow deferrals. There are schools wherein if you do deferrals, you need to apply a new application again for your letter of acceptance, and you cannot refund your tuition fee deposit, which may be around $6,000, or that will be like 250,000 pesos. There are schools who allows deferrals, however, you needed to pay a deferral fees, which will be about $400, and that's more than 10,000 pesos. That's why, if you're not sure with the school, make sure you take a look into these situations or ask an education consultant like the UniStudy Canada, because we have access with all the schools here in Canada. We are aware of all the policies and all the regulations that the school have because this is our specialty. So how can you avoid this issue? Make sure that you apply at least 12 months before the start of your intake. Even more is better as long as the intake is already open, which UniStudy Canada can also help you for free. Take note, we have free services that we provide. I am an international student myself before, and I know the struggle of applying into these schools. If you're also interested, email us now at info@unistudyca.canada. And that's it for today, and we'll see you on the next vlog. Bye!